In today's video, I'm going to show you how to transform this little Ikea chopping board into a super cute hand sewing station. When I saw this little chopping board in Ikea, I thought it would be perfect as a portable sewing table because it's just the right size to fit on a lap. The chopping board is called Stolthet, and I checked and it's available online in the UK and in the USA and in other countries as well. So you just need to type in that name to Ikea and you can find it there, so you don't have to visit the store if you're not able to. You can purchase it online. I'm not affiliated at all with Ikea, they don't know I exist, but it's just if you want to use the exact same little wooden table, but you might have something else that would do just as well. Now the table could be used on your lap just as it is, but I wanted to create a bit of a padded cover for it to make it more comfortable to rest hands on and also to make it look prettier. So to make the cover, you're going to need a piece of quilting cotton for your backing fabric, a piece of wadding, and a piece of quilting cotton for your top fabric. I will put all of the measurements and some simple step-by-step instructions into a document that I will leave for free on my website, so the link is in the description box, so please go and have a look at that if you would like to get all of the measurements and everything that you need to make it to. The fabrics I've chosen are really special. They're from this beautiful Liberty quilting cotton range, which has flowers interspersed with sewing notions, which I just think is perfect for making a little portable sewing station. I have lots of this fabric in this colourway and in a more pink colourway as well, and they're in specially curated bundles with coordinating fabric on my website, so do have a look for those if you want to make yours the same. The other thing that you'll need is some elastic. So I have some 1/4 inch elastic, the sort of elastic we use to make masks. So if you've got some of that left over from those days, then use that for this project. But I'll also put this on my website too, because as you can see, I've got rather a lot of it and I'm not going to use all of that myself. So I'll make this available as well. And like I said, all of the details for everything, how much you need of everything, will be in that document for free on my website. I would just like to take a minute to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is Craftsy. Now I'm really excited to be partnering with Craftsy because it was many years ago now that I first discovered Craftsy, and it was really the catalyst to get me really interested in quilting, because Craftsy is a fantastic online community full of like-minded creative people and a platform that has over 2,000 classes on it now on a huge range of subjects, from quilting to crochet to knitting and sewing and so many more. Recently, I've been taking a class called Vintage Textiles in Quilts by Ali Allah, and I've been taking this class because, as you might know, I've been working on a quilt that incorporates vintage textiles myself, so I was really interested to take this class to learn her perspective and get some fresh ideas that I can use in my quilt. I really love how detailed the videos are. They are professionally filmed. They walk you through step by step, and you just really gain so much knowledge by watching them. Craftsy is such a fantastic online learning community for creative people like you and I, with so many interesting classes led by industry experts, and I just know you're going to find so much to interest you there. So I have a really exciting offer for you. The first 1,000 of my subscribers will get 1 year of premium Craftsy for only $1.49, which is just fantastic, isn't it? Thank you so much to Craftsy for sponsoring today's video. I'm going to make this project entirely by hand, so this is a tutorial for that, but you can replace pretty much all of the steps with a sewing machine if you want to speed it up a little bit. So the first thing that I've done is I have centered my top fabric and wadding on top of the backing fabric, but the backing fabric is face down. That's really important. And now I'm going to just rule some quilting lines on. I'm just going to do some big stitch hand quilting really simply. So I've got my ruler running on the diagonal. I've got my air erasable pen because I'm going to do it really, really quickly. And I'm just going to rule the line all the way across. Now we don't need lots and lots and lots of quilting lines. It's entirely up to you. I think I'm going to go for 2 inches. So I'm going to put my ruler on the 2-inch mark, and I'm just going to rule them diagonally 2 inches apart, like so. That gives me 2 lines. Let's do the next one. That gives me 3 and 4 in that direction. And then if I just turn the whole piece around, I'll do the next part. So I've got the 2-inch line lined up there, and I'll do another line here and another one will fit on, and then just one more. So that's given me some lines just going diagonally in one direction. You could go diagonally back the other way or quilt it however you like. It's entirely up to you. My lines probably aren't showing up too much on camera because the colour of the pen kind of blends in, but they are there, I promise. So I'm just going to stick a couple of pins in everything now to hold it in place and then get quilting. So to quilt it, I'm just using a 12 weight thread. It's called Fruity. It's made by Wonderfil. That's also on my website, and it comes in this lovely variegated lavender shade. There are other shades too, but I think this will just tie in really nicely. It won't show up too much, but it will also contrast on the back, although that won't really be seen, but it's just a lovely colour. So I'm using an embroidery needle, just a size 24 chenille needle, and I'll just start at one edge and follow the line I drew with a running stitch. I'm not making these particularly small, I'm just doing some nice big stitches, just really to hold the layers together. I've also got my thimble on, which is essential for me when I'm doing any kind of hand quilting, and because I'm doing nice big stitches, this won't take me too long to do, and it's also nice and relaxing as well. It's very enjoyable doing a bit of big stitch hand quilting. At the start and end of each row, I'm just burying the knot in the wadding so it's not on the outside. I'm just starting it there and then stitching across. And you might wonder, well, why hand quilt it when you could just do it in a few minutes on a machine? Well, you just get a really lovely squishy texture when you do hand quilting. And also, as we know, it's all about the process here, and I just find this much more satisfying, to be honest. It's therapeutic and calming to do this kind of hand quilting, but it's also really satisfying to do as well. So if you've got the time and you feel like giving it a go, I do recommend this really simple hand quilting. It's just really lovely to do. So the next thing to do is to fold the raw edge over twice to encase it. I always use Wonder Clips for this task, and to be honest, I use Wonder Clips for so many different things. They are really useful. These are the small ones, and I just find them to be absolutely perfect for turning raw edges over and then clipping it in place, ready to sew it down, like so. Now at the corner, I'm going to fold it over at a right angle, like so, and then fold up the edge, and then fold it over again. And by doing that, it creates the right angle here, which just makes a nicer corner. And I'm only going to do that on 3 of the corners. I'm going to leave one open until the end, and you'll see why. So now it's all clipped in place. 3 of the corners are ready, and like I said, I've left one open, so don't worry about that. But I'm just going to start at this side here, and I'm just going to stitch it down by hand, working my way all the way around, using the same stitch that you'd use if you were stitching a binding down. So a change of needle and thread for this, I'm using Wonderfil Deco Bob thread, which is a really fine polyester thread. You can hardly see it at all, but it's really strong. And a milliner's needle, I'm using a size 9 with my thimble as I was before. So I've just buried my thread tail. I came out on the edge of the binding, and then I'm just going back down directly opposite but in the backing fabric. Slide my needle across and come out in the binding. Down directly opposite but in the backing fabric. Just push a few threads in there and then slide it across. So I'm always going down directly opposite but in the backing fabric and sliding it across and coming out in the binding. And this is a really nice stitch to do. It's very meditative, and when you get in the flow and your thread isn't catching on the wonder clips, which does happen, but when you manage to get past that and you get into a nice flow, it's a really nice one to work on. Just make sure that edge stays folded under, and just make sure there's plenty of room in there because we are going to feed the elastic through the channel. So all of the edge has been stitched down except for up here in this corner. I've actually just left the thread attached and my needle as well. So when I've finished putting the elastic through the channel, I'll stitch that together. And I've cut about 46 inches of elastic here. It's rather a lot, which will be trimmed down afterwards, but it's good to have too much rather than too little. And I've got a safety pin. I've just attached the safety pin to one end of the elastic, and I'm going to use that to feed it through the channel. So I'm just going to place it in and scrunch up the fabric and push the safety pin along. And I always find that this method works a treat. It's really quick and easy to do. Now, when you get to the corner, that is the trickiest part. So you've got to make sure you're still behind this seam here and just get it around. So it just might be a bit tricky. So I just push it a little bit, but we got there. And then we can carry on moving along. So I'm just going to work my way around the whole piece, and when I'm back at the opening again, I'll show you what we do next. So I've threaded it through all the way around, and now we're just at the open part here. Now what I'm going to do before I tie the ends together is just unscrunch it a bit and test it out around the little chopping board to get it to the size that I want it to be. So I want it to be quite snug around the table, not too baggy. Obviously it's got to fit just right around the table. So it's just hugging the edge, it doesn't touch the legs, so that's perfect. Just grips it around the side, and again around this side. When the elastic is pulled a little bit, it will grip in the same on this side as well. So I'm just going to pull the elastic and tie it together in the corner. Now you could sew it together with your sewing machine. I've did a practice run and found that just tying it was absolutely fine, but I'm doing a really tight knot here. Do another one, because definitely don't want it to come undone. And then what I'm going to do now is just trim off the excess elastic. So there's just a little bit left, we could use that for something else. And then I'm going to finish by just stitching the binding edge just as we did before, but making sure that that elastic stays on that side of it. So I'm just going to sew that down. So once that's done, you can see it's all curling up on itself, and then it just fits really snugly around. chopping board. And you just get a little peek of the contrast edge, which is really nice. Yeah, it fits really nicely, and now you've got somewhere really comfortable to rest your hands, and it looks really pretty. But that is not all. We haven't finished there. As lovely as it is, I think it needs some extra features. Now I want to be able to place my hand in the middle, but I wouldn't mind a little pocket up here and definitely a pincushion on this side, because I think those two things are going to be really useful. So a little pocket where I can just store a pair of scissors perhaps, something like that for the pocket, and definitely a little pincushion where I can just put my needle in when I need to stop and start, and I think that's going to be really useful. So I don't want anything down here if that's where I'm going to rest my hands, but in these corners I'm going to show you how to make those next. So to make the pocket, I've cut a piece of wadding and a piece of top fabric, 2.5 inches by 4 inches, and then I have cut a backing fabric in a contrast colour to be 3.5 inches by 5 inches, so it's an inch bigger. Sorry, so it's half an inch bigger on all sides. And then I'm just centering it, and then I'm just going to do exactly as we did before with the edges to fold it up to make the pocket. But don't worry, I'm not going to leave it plain. I'm going to make a little hexy flower to go on that too. So once the little pocket was complete, I pinned it to the cover, but I did that whilst it was still around the cutting board, just so I could get it in the exact position where I wanted it to be, and then I took it off the cutting board to sew it down. But I found that pinning it while it's spread out on the board would just be easier to get it straighter and exactly where I want it to be. the little pocket was done and just perfect for scissors. So now it was time to make the little pincushion. So I made another 1/4 inch hexagon flower with scraps to match the other one, and I sewed it on a circle of fabric which was about 4.5 inches in diameter. And then I'm just running a running stitch just around the edge so I can gather up the circle and then stuff it with leftover little bits of wadding. So this is perfect for using up any little bits of scraps that you might have. So here it is, all complete, just perfect for holding your needle, and I really like the little pocket for the scissors, just ideal. It looks really pretty. This fabric is just perfect for this job. I'm really glad I chose to use it. And now that all is done, the only thing left to do is to actually try it out. So I'm trying it out with my hexagon flower a day, and I have to say it's just perfect. I can just pop it on my lap and stitch my hexagons together, all cozy under a blanket. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you really soon with something else. Take care. Bye bye.